Success and Errors, and welcome to the TV and conference call talk show, The Road to Success. I'm your host, Professor William Murray, and also the president of the Millionaire Mastermind Institute. What we do at the Institute is we build millionaire mindsets, lifestyles, and businesses. We take you from idea to implementation and beyond. The talk show, this talk show is here for you. We have open topics. We talk about anything and everything. And we always have special guests on. Like I got a special guest tonight. Y'all, I'm telling you right now, get your pencil and your paper because you are going to be taking notes. And y'all know this is a national show. Lines are open. If you have questions, ask the questions. And as always, the God in me greets and blesses the God in you. This evening show topic is about the importance of a will. One of the best things that I ever did. And after I had my will done, did I feel better. I felt so much better. It's just something about it that makes you feel better. Knowing that if something happens to you, your loved ones or whatever you own in your possessions are taken care of. I'm so excited today, y'all. I'm very excited. I've been busy for the last 3-4 hours. My book today. I got my book today. From the Mind of William. The Thought and Action Process to Success. I've had so many people already buy my book. I've been putting it in the envelopes for mailing tomorrow. I'm going to have a whole armful, a box of books that I'm taking tomorrow to mail out. So everybody should be getting their books Monday. Those who've ordered, you probably get them Monday, Tuesday at the latest. Oh, I'm excited. This beautiful lady that we have as a guest this evening, I've been knowing for a little bit of time, a little bit over 30 years. And she's more like a sister to me. We've been neighbors now for, let me see, my son is 34, so 33 years. We've been neighbors and good friends. As a matter of fact, she didn't introduce me to my wife, but she made me notice that the young lady was there. My wife, as I tell the story about my wife being 2 houses down from where I was living, and I didn't even know she existed. And I was living there for 7 years before I even paid any attention. And when I did, well, y'all, it's been 30 years, and the rest is history. So she'll always forever be in my heart because she gave me one of the best things ever happened to me when she told me I was single. And that was a great move. I'm telling you no lie. When Miss Ava and I finally hooked up, I was ready. I've been after all them years, single in my 40s. I said, nah, I'm ready. And what did God do? Put Miss Ava in my life through Miss Jessie. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady, I'm gonna bring on right now. Let me do this. Let me unmute her and bring her on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to y'all Miss Jessie Jackson. How we doing, Jessie? Oh, you're muted. Wait a minute, are you still muted?
You need to unmute me.
Oh, there you are. Yeah. Y'all, Miss I'm sorry. It's not Miss Jackson. It's Dr. Jackson. Excuse me. Let me give you your props.
Give me my props.
I'm the same way. Most people call me Professor Murray. And like I said, give me my props. So how we doing, Jessie?
I am doing wonderful. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Murray, my friend, for inviting me on your show this evening. I've watched your show from time to time, a wonderful show, great information. And it is an honor that you've asked me to come on this evening. So I feel privileged. So for those of you that are online and that are watching or listening, I am Dr. Jessie Hyman Jackson, and I am the CEO and president of Jackson and Associates. And I'm also a senior vice president with Primerica Financial Services for over 30 plus years. So I've been in the financial services industry for quite some time. And my passion is to educate people on different avenues where they can manage their resources. That's my passion. So I am privileged that Mr. Murray asked me tonight to speak on wills and the importance of putting a will in place, and also having your power of attorneys for health and your power of attorneys for finances in place. Those are some critical things that we lots of times, oftentimes overlook for whatever reason.
Jesse,
Yes.
Once I got you to do finally broke down, got you to do my will, it just like it lifted a weight off of me. I mean, it's like getting a weight lifted off of you, and I appreciate it, and the way you do it, and the information. I mean, it's unbelievable. It is something that everyone. There's no doubt. There is no reason for no one not to have a will. Because if something happens and you own something, especially property, and you don't have a will and you got family, oh Lord, Jesse, you're talking about probate. I'm gonna let you handle all that.
Well, no, you're doing fine. It's always good to have a live testimony. So someone that has actually experienced it.
Dear, it's the best thing, one of the best things I've had done. Second best thing you've done for me. First one, like I said, introduced to my wife. and then and you did my will. And I didn't realize, I really didn't realize the importance of a will.
Most of us don't put it in place for whatever reason. We don't want. I think, well, let me first do a disclaimer. I am not an attorney. Let me just say to everybody, I am not an attorney. Lots of time people think that you have to have an attorney to do a will. You do not have to have an attorney to do a will. You do your will, you sign your will, you have people witness your will, and you have it notarized. You take it to the courthouse and have it registered. That's the process of doing a will. You do not have to spend $5,000 or $6,000 to have an attorney to do your will.
And that's what most of them want to charge you. Because Jesse, the price that you charge, I couldn't believe it, Jesse. I'm thinking, what?
Yeah.
And that's all she charges, to have to do all that legal work, all that paperwork, and all the private things that you want taken care of when something happens to you.
So for me, it is a passion, but I did want to do the disclaimer that I'm not an attorney. And also the other disclaimer is part of my business. Like I said, I run 2 businesses. I'm also an educator. And but this part of my business, I do under Jackson and Associates, not Primerica Financial Services. So I just wanted to put that out in case anybody wanted to know. So where do you want me to go, William? You want me to start talking about wills and the importance of wills, or we want to have a conversation?
The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, is there a area for chat if anybody have any questions?
Yes, it'll come on. It'll come up.
Okay. If anyone have any questions, you can put your questions in the chat box and I will respond. But I wanted to just talk with you in line with what William asked me to talk about, and that was wills and the importance of having wills, having a will in place. And as I said, you do not have to have an attorney to put a will in place. But let's talk about what a will is. A will is it's called the last will and testament. And it is a legal document that lets let you decide on what you want to happen with your estate if you die. Or not if you die, but when you die. Because we're all going to die.
I'm going to try to put it off as long as I can, though. See, I'm gonna try to break Methuselah's record of hundreds of years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There is no way we can get out of here without dying. So,
That's
but
true.
what you want to do in your will is you decide what happens to your assets. You decide what happens to your children if you have children, but you decide on what will happen to. And as I said to William and to everybody else, I say, if you don't have but one pencil, what you want to do is you decide who gets that one pencil. So lots of times we don't put wills in place because we're thinking, well, I don't really have anything. I don't have this and I don't have that. You don't have to have a lot of things to put a will in place. What you want to do is you decide who gets whatever it is that you have. Because if you don't decide, then the state decides. It goes into probate. Then there's a lot of finance, there's a lot of costs behind that. So what you want to do is you decide who you want to get whatever it is that you have. And the other thing that's important, you can also include in your will who you don't want to get anything. For example, if there is an ex-spouse, you can decide, you can put it in writing. This person gets nothing, not even this one pencil I had. But you make that decision.
Yeah. You know, just in real estate. And it surprised me. This guy and his wife have been separated for 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lady, and he had someone living with him for years.
Mm-hmm.
But when he died, his wife got the house.
That's right.
Because he didn't have a will, and he never divorced his wife, although he'd been living with this other lady for a number of years, like something like 15, 16 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the house went to his wife because he did not have a will.
Yeah. I know a person that had the same situation. They had been living together for a long, long time, and when the spouse died, the ex-wife, who had not been in a relationship with him, but she was the one that stepped in to handle everything because everything belonged to her. So it's important that you put a will in place. The other reason, sometimes we have wayward children that you want to exclude or don't get something, or sometimes you may have had a couple of children. You've put some children to college and given them all their resources and things. Then you have some small resources left, but you don't want to exclude this child that did not get resources while they were living. So, but those are kind of things that you can put in your will. Then people have charitable organizations. They may want to leave something to. So if you want to leave something to your church or to an organization, you put that in your will. Whatever you have, you put it in your will. And then people have pets that they are so in love with and passionate about. They want to make sure that if something happens to them, who's going to get that dog? Who's going to take care of that dog? Who's going to take care of that cat? So that you put that in your will. Okay. So,
you know, Jesse, I'll never forget the story that I saw. This lady was wealthy, and she left all her money to her pets.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, now what does a pet go do? I mean, she had money.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. That she left all that money to the pets. And when they died, then the money was she had to have to go to charity.
Go to charity, right. And sometimes people don't have, as people if they didn't have children or don't have a large family, they have resources, and a lot of people have money that they don't have anybody to leave it to. So then they just, give it to the charities, different organizations, different churches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of people always want their churches taken care of. So
absolutely.
Jesse, I was thinking like that. I was thinking at one time before I got my will. I was thinking, I don't own it, but I own a lot. I got a lot of jewelry, a lot of gold, and I got a lot of little properties and stuff, little things. But I was thinking, well, what I need a will for? But I'm serious, Jesse. That was one of the best things. I ain't lying, because you think you don't have anything, but when you start answering the questions that you give them the answers, so you can put the will together, it's amazing.
Yeah. And like I was saying to you, you have a business.
Yes.
What happens to your business if something happens to you? So sometimes we think we don't have anything, but when you start, the questions that I ask a person helps, it prompts them to start thinking about, oh, I do have that, and I didn't think I had that, you know. So, but you want to tell somebody, you want to tell what you want to happen to it. And you also want to be selective in selecting the executor of your estate.
Right.
Who is going to be the person that handles everything for you? Because if you don't, then the courts will. And they may appoint somebody that you don't know or don't have any relationship with or don't want to handle your stuff. So you want to appoint an executor that will carry out your wishes in your will. You will already put it in your will what you want to happen, but the executor will make sure that everything is allocated and given out the way that you've said that you want it in your will. Then the executor will also be the one that goes to the courthouse, you know, when you pass, and you have to be appointed to be the representative of the estate. So you put it in writing, then the person takes the will to the courthouse and file the will. Then the register, the will of register, I think it's called the will of registers. They then will appoint that person. Then now that person can go to the bank and handle your finances. Now you're deceased. Something has to happen to that estate, the finances, things that are in the bank. So
Jesse, one thing that I'm glad that you did on my will was what happens to me when I pass, where I get buried, the type of service I want. And I mean, and all that. See, people don't realize how important that is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to leave that for your spouse to always handle that because they're already in mourning.
Right.
And I saw this show where they say one of the worst things that happens to those who are left is the fact they're in mourning, and their decision making isn't that sharp at that moment because of the sorrow and the mourning. So when you got a will, that really takes care of that, where your spouse ain't got to go through all of that.
It's critically important that you have that conversation.
Yes, it is. It may be uncomfortable, but you gotta have it.
Right. That's why a lot of us don't do it, because it's uncomfortable and we don't want to think about death. But it's critical that you have the conversation as what you want to happen when you die, where you want to be buried, and like even some people actually do their funeral program, the obituary. They actually have it written out. They even have like the church they want to be service at, who they want to read the scriptures, the prayers, and everything. And then people that want to, now a lot of people want to be cremated. So they're saying, this is what I want to do. I don't want to spend all that money. I want to be cremated. And a lot of people already have those things in place. But it's important to put in your will what you want to happen. And, usually when I sit with people, I sit with them and I kind of because like I say, people don't want to think about that. But it's a way that we talk about it where it's not harmful, it's not hurtful. But like you said, William, the person, your family that's left is already grieving.
They're already grieving.
So to have to now put on and start worrying about, what am I going to do? It's stressful. So by having things in place, alleviate a lot of the stress for your family.
Jesse, between my wife and I, Ava, we've really had this conversation in depth. She knows what I want to be buried in, and where I want to be buried. Because it's not really, you don't want to leave them to make that decision at that moment. And normally you got if someone passed, they got the wife's got, or the other mate has got about 3 days to make decisions.
Yeah.
And they're in so much mourning and grievance. It's hard. It's hard. And you got children. You don't want them fighting over this and fighting. Like they say, you want to have the biggest fight in the family, get money involved.
Yeah. And a lot of families fall out. That's why another reason to have a will in place, because a lot of families fall out, stop speaking, never speak again, because Somebody will say, well, mama told me that I could have this watch. The other one said, no, I sit with mama all the time and she said I could have it. So it's critically important that you put down what you want, who you want to have what. So it saves so much harm and hurt from in the family.
I'm sure.
Good evening.
Yes. Yes, Maggie.
Good evening, you guys. Thank you guys for the conversation. I just wanted to add to what you guys were saying, because I've seen this happen on several occasions, just exactly what you guys are talking about. And what I would like to add is, even if you haven't done a will yet, or you don't get around to doing it, you need to verbalize your wishes to at least 2 or 3 people, because I've seen it happen where someone will say, oh, well, so-and-so said this, and someone else will say, no, I thought they said this. But if you verbalize your needs to people, when that time comes, it'll be like, no, because that's what happened with me, and I've seen it happen with my friends as well. My mom had a certain wish that I wasn't aware of, but someone brought it to my attention. So if you don't have it in writing, at least verbalize it, or like she said, put it in writing, but verbalize it to people so they know without a shadow of a doubt what your wishes are.
But you know now, I learned this in real estate, and I was in real estate 15 years. If it's not in writing,
that's right,
it has no value.
That's right.
When you go to court, the first thing the judge is going to ask you,
that's right. And
your word against someone else's word, neither have no validity.
Well, now when I say that, I'm not really referring to like the material stuff, the finances, all that. I mean, like maybe more so like your funeral wishes. That's where the dilemma came up. Like one person was like, well, I thought they wanted to be cremated, and 2 other people were like, no, they never, like, you know, just stuff like that. Not when it gets down to the legal stuff. More so decisions for the funeral, because that's the immediate stuff that the families have to make decisions on, and that can cause conflicts also.
Well, you know, with you being a nurse of 37 years,
just letting your family know what your wishes are.
Yeah, that's so true. To have the we were just talking about that. Have the conversation. Somebody needs to have had these conversations as to, just like you're saying, what their wishes are. So, and even if it's not legally done, even if you just write it down. You know, my sister, when she passed, she had told us what she wanted to do, but we had sit down with her and she had wrote it out. So if somebody wants to be buried or cremated or donated, whatever, it is critical that it has a conversation with people to let somebody know what you want to have done.
Even like down to colors, because you know colors become an issue with families. Like, no, this was like
you're right.
Experienced that before.
Yes, I have. I have.
Become a conflict later on.
I was at a funeral the other day, and this lady, she was 90-some years old when she passed.
Oh my goodness.
But she had her family know to tell everyone to wear black.
Yeah.
We want everyone, and everyone there, I'm serious, was in black. And just my opposite is, I don't want nobody at my funeral in black. I've already, even though
some people are like that. My sister wanted us
wear black, but no, it ain't necessary. You can wear white for all I care.
My sister was specific. I'm sorry, what was your name on the phone? What was your name?
Yvonne.
Miss Yvonne.
My name is Yvonne.
Yvonne, my sister was very specific. She wanted the girls in black suits with a hat, with black hats and white gloves. So she was very specific about what she wanted.
You know, Jesse,
I'm telling you, I know from experience. Because actually with my girlfriends, there's 4 of us. And because all of our mothers, like my mom was the first to pass, so I experienced that, like, you know, being told, like, no, her best friend said, this was like, I didn't know my mom never wanted a funeral. I knew she wanted to be cremated, but I thought she would like have the funeral and then get cremated. But her best friend was like, no, she doesn't want anyone viewing her, standing over her once she dies. I just figured she didn't want to go into the ground, but her best friend told me that. I wouldn't have known that. I would have never known that, but she verbalized it to her friend. And then when my girlfriends, their moms start passing, you know, those same questions started coming up. Well, did you ever hear her say this or say that? So that's when I said, with my girlfriends, all four of us, I was like, we're having a girls' weekend and we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the stuff we want to happen so that at least we are all aware and we can confirm we all can confirm that this is what that person wanted.
Just make sure if you have children, the children know also. Because if those girlfriends say that,
absolutely.
Yes. Make sure the children know.
Well, you being a nurse, Yvonne, for 30-some years, you probably see a lot of stuff in the hospital.
Absolutely.
I have a question, Jesse. Miss Purnell wants to know, do you have to pay for will? Can you write it and have it notarized?
You do not have to pay for will. Well, let me say this. To have a legal document written up, it should be in some legalistic format.
Correct.
Okay. It should be in some legalistic format. There's a lot of legalistic terminology in there, but you can, if you prefer. Let me tell you one thing. If you wrote out what you want to happen on a brown paper bag tonight, before you had a chance to get it legally done and notarized, it would stand in a court. If you write it on a brown paper bag and sign it. And if it had to go to court, if somebody, said, no, she didn't want to do that, and somebody have it where you've written it down at, that will stand in court, okay? That's one way. But the legalistic way is to actually have a will written up, a legal will document written up and notarized, signed by witnesses and notarized that you are the one that actually signed this. So, and in that is stating that you were of sound mind. Nobody coerced you to do it. You were of sound mind. You did it at your own will. And you have two witnesses that signed, witness that you signed it.
Jesse, the documents you had us to fill out with the questionnaire that you had for us, I had never thought of half of it. I had truly never thought of half of what, and the answer to those questions, I had never, ever thought of it. So for you to write your own will, you're gambling. Because there are questions that you ask or a professional asks that you have no idea about. I'm not telling you not to write your will, but they say the worst client that a person can ever have is themselves. And Ms. Lee says, always great educators. A will is imperative for us to have.
Yes, it is. It is.
People don't. Here's the thing, Jesse. I keep telling people, you aren't going to be able to make it if you want everything free. You got certain things that you got to pay for. You can write your own will, but if you don't know what you're doing and you just want to write it, but there are certain things going to come up that you never. Jesse, I can tell you, I'm serious. Half of what you asked me on that I had never thought of, had no idea about, and I didn't think I had anything.
Right. Yeah. I remember the conversation. You were saying, well, I don't really need one. I don't have anything.
Yeah, that's just what I said.
Yeah. But then when we start digging, and pulling out, there are things that we have that we don't think that's important. But you wait until if you die, somebody's going to think it's important. Somebody's going to want it and fight over it. If it's money or something like a value involved, it's going to be a fight over it. Yeah. Ms. Purnell says hospitals give living wills, mostly medical stuff. Do they work as well? Hospitals, the medical, what is it called? The medical power of attorney. Yeah. Yeah. The medical power of attorney. Yes. If the hospitals, and lots of hospitals nowadays are asking, most of them are asking, do you have a power of attorney in place? A medical power of attorney? Because if we get sick and can't make decisions about our health, somebody has to make that decision. And believe it or not, if we don't have something in writing and they put you on a life support machine, for example, it takes, and this was a case that happened like this years ago in Florida, a lady was on a life support machine, and she was brain dead and everything, but her husband had to fight for several years to get her off that life support machine.
Yeah, I remember that.
And cost millions of dollars because she's just laying there. So it's important to have a medical directive in place that when what you want to happen, do you want to be resuscitated? Do you want to have medications? Do you want to have, those are the kind of things that if the doctor says that it certifies that I am at end stage of my life and there is nothing else that can be done, do I want medication? Do I want to be internally fed, intravenously fed? And I know Yvonne knows about this because you're in the nursing field. So those are the kind of things that they will ask. So it's important to have a medical directive in place.
And yes, here's something that you really brought up that I hadn't thought of, because it's just my wife and I. Our kids are grown and they got their own families.
Mm-hmm.
But what and everything is if something happens to my wife, I'm the one to make decisions behind her will, and if something happens to me, she's the one to make decisions for me. But what if, not from my mouth to God's ear, but what if something happens and you both pass at the same time?
Exactly.
You've got to have that third party, baby, and people don't think of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't thought of that. What if something happens and we're both killed
at the same time? Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What then? Because the will is not no good, because there's nobody to do it, because you didn't put a third party to handle that in that situation.
Yeah. So it's always critical to have a backup person.
Yes.
So yeah. So when you're doing a will, you have the first executor, then you have a second executor. So just in the event that the first, sometimes if you have a child as your executor and something happens, that child may be so emotional, or even that spouse may be so emotional until they can't carry out or handle that. And then the other thing too, you have to have somebody to carry out that, be your executor, somebody that can is astute enough to be able to handle business.
Well, you don't know how somebody's going to react upon your passing. You have no idea.
Exactly. You don't know. So you want to always have a backup. Right. And sometimes families have children and they may make them as co-executors.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you still got to have that main person over there.
Yeah, you have to have that lead person. Yes.
Yes, you do. Yeah. And
backup people. Mm-hmm. But you brought up a point, William, that if there is a husband and wife, particularly if you have children, and the husband and wife, lots of times the husband and wife travel together, they go to the store together, they do this together, they take vacations together. What happens to your children or your assets and things if something, Lord forbid, that you get killed in a plane crash, both of them?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to have stuff in place. It's critically important that you have stuff in place. And even on your life insurance, lots of times we have the spouse as the beneficiary and then the other spouse. But what happens in a situation like that, right? So you want to have, it's called contingent beneficiaries.
Right.
Right. On your life insurance. So if something happens to the both of you, what happens to who's going to get those resources to do the burying and carry on everything else?
And another question for you, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Purnell's is there a difference between POA and executors?
Say that again. PO what?
POA, power of attorney.
Uh-huh.
Power of attorney and executors. Is there a difference?
Yes, there is. A power of attorney ceases once a person dies. Once a person dies, the power of attorney now has no power. There is no power of attorney, okay? So the power of attorney is in place that as long as you're living, because you're giving that person power to act on your behalf. But when you die, then the executor kicks in, because the executor is the one that handles your will, if I'm understanding your question correctly.
Mm-hmm. Is there a difference between power of attorney and executors? Yeah.
Now there's a power of attorney of health and a power of attorney of finances, but those people act on your behalf while you are living. The executor is the person the executor of your will is the person that makes sure that that goes to the courthouse, file your will, make sure that everything that you've said in your will is carried out. And that person is appointed by the court. You name that person, but that person actually have to be appointed by the court. And the court will give them a letter called a letter of representation. Now that person, that your executor, can now take that letter of representation to the bank, for example, and handle your banking. But as a power of attorney, they cannot do it as a power of attorney because now you are deceased.
You just said something, Jesse, that I want to point out to the family, all my listeners. If you have a bank account, just like me, because I have different sources of income, because the Millionaire Mathematics has affiliates. And I have a bank account for each one of my affiliates. If something happens to me, my wife has permission. I mean, the banks is in writing that my wife handles the money. It ain't got to go through probate. So if something happens to me, she can go to any one of my accounts and do with whatever she wants with what's money is there. You got to go to your bank and do that. Because I was in real estate and it was 6 years, Jesse. These people were in probate for 6 years. I'm thinking 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time to be. Look with James Brown.
Mm-hmm.
His was how many years?
Mm-hmm. Long time. My suggestion on that would be, if you are a single owner on a bank account, that you have a second person's name on that account. Because if a person dies, for example, they will have to wait until they go to the courthouse, get appointed as the representative to be able, and the court gives them a letter of representation to go to the bank. However, if a person dies and there is a joint owner on that account, the joint owner can go to the bank and handle the affairs just as if that person was alive, because they're joint owners. So, for example, if you have an account and somebody dies and you need money for the funeral, for example, if there's not a life insurance policy, you need money for the funeral. You don't want to wait to have to go to the court to get appointed the representative, then to take that to the bank 2 or 3 days or 4 down the road, or sometimes a week or so. Different than if you have a second person's name on that account, then that person can just go to the bank and handle your affairs.
Very good. Just these people ask some nice questions. That's some nice questions that Ms. Purnell and Ms. Lee, they asking.
Okay, good.
Now, y'all know the lines are open. All you got to do is speak up. But this is, y'all, this is something that I'm very adamant on now. I am very adamant on people getting wills. When I tell them and I'm coaching them business-wise, I also give them information and coach them and tell them about the benefit of a will, especially when you have a business and you have money constantly coming and going. Someone's got to be able to handle that upon your demise, because, to believe it or not, when you die, I didn't know that when you die, your bills have to still be paid. And I didn't know that. I thought when you die, you dead. Like I said, if they want to take me to court to get the money, but they got access to your debt if you have money in the bank. So that's something, all that, you got to have legal documents for everything. You really do. And a will is a legal document. There are so many things that people don't know that can be problems to their family. And they have no idea of what is going to happen behind that situation.
Mm-hmm. On the debts that a person who dies owes, if a person dies and they have resources, and they have debts, the executor will go to the bank and, do all that process, will go to the court, be appointed. Then that money has to be held for a while, and then in filing of that will, then it's required that you put a newspaper ad out to the creditors. Well, you put a newspaper ad out, for example, the Washington Post, which allows the creditors to, you don't have to call the creditors or anything, but there's an announcement out there. So if any of the creditors see that William Murray has died and he owed us, $2,000 Pepco bill, and if Pepco sees that, and Pepco will then file a claim against that estate to get paid. That's held for 6 months. If nobody comes up for 6 months, then you're not responsible for those bills.
Jesse, this information you're giving out, there's nowhere else to get this. And I love this show. I've been doing it 10 years now. And the things I've learned from this show, how it has changed my life. Oh, this show has truly, truly changed my life. Because it's shows like this that educate me. And with me being a coach, and a mentor, things like this you want to know. I'm no expert in this. Like I tell my people, I don't know everything, but I know a little bit of something about a lot. Because when I do my shows like this one, look at what you're teaching me and giving out already. So this stuff like this is very necessary. Mm-hmm. And they don't get a chance to talk to people to find out this information. Mm-hmm. Where else are you going to get stuff like this? I tell you, the value of the Millionaire Mastermind Institute and the show The Road to Success is unbelievable. Have your family tune in, because you never know who you're blessing when you give them the blessing of tuning in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
I've looked at your show and I've seen your show. So you've had some great educators on, great information that's being disseminated. So I would just say that everybody take advantage of it, and it's free information. It's free information. So invite people to come to the show. Listen to what and everything may not be for you.
Not at that moment.
Not at that right at that moment, right? At that moment. But it gets into your head, and sometimes later on it may come up. Oh, I needed that. I heard that before. So it's important to just educate yourselves.
And Ms. Purnell said, wish they teach this in school or church addresses these issues.
Yes. I do financial seminars at our church in different places, but of course we're not doing anything now because of COVID. But yeah. I do financial seminars, and one of the things that I'm starting that should be off the floor in about a couple of months, a month is shorter, is financial literacy for women. Because what I've found is there are a lot of women that don't take advantage or don't know how to run a household or how to run finances and things, because a lot of time men are the head person in that household and pays all the bills, run everything. And so a lot of times women, it used to be more women now are getting involved in that. But my heart's desire is to do financial literacy for women on how to manage a household. And that's going to be from either setting up records, setting up books, setting up, how to manage this, how to plan for retirement, how to, just in case that the spouse die, you need to be able to fend for yourself. And a lot of times, a lot of houses now are ran by single households.
That's right.
So, but financial literacy is critically important.
Jesse, something too is important. Just dawned on me. If you have children, you have a right to who you want to raise your child.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because a lot of times family fight over the children. Well, I can raise them better than you. You can, or I don't want to raise you. And you got, that's what a will is. A will takes care of all of that. Because you can put that in a will.
Oh yeah. In absence of a spouse, that who gets the children?
Yes.
Like I say, who gets the pet? You can put all of that in
all
there.
All that. And with the questionnaire you have, Jesse, I mean, it's just fantastic, Jesse. It truly, truly is. Let's do this real quick, Jesse, because I got a few more minutes. Tell people how they can reach you.
Okay, there are a couple of ways. Do you have? I can put it in the chat. Do people look at the chat?
Yeah. Oh yeah. More people do that and watch the replay than do it live. So you can also tell us and put in the chat.
I am Dr. Jesse J.S.S. Hyman Jackson. My contact number is 240-274-2405. My email.
Again, do that again.
My contact phone number is 240-274-2405. I just put it in the chat.
Okay.
My email address is LEJACK, the numbers 48560 at msn.com.
Do that again, Jesse.
LEJACK 48560 at msn.com.
I suggest to y'all out there, if you got call Miss Jack, call Dr. Jackson. Y'all, the lady knows her stuff. She's not gonna charge you the $1,000 that these attorneys charge you.
My cost is 1/8 of that cost.
Yes, and I'm more than satisfied with you. Look how many clients, how many people I've turned, I've introduced to you.
Me, right? You referred to me, right?
Yeah.
If any of you would like just information or like to discuss more, feel free to contact me. You can my cell number is on at all times, 240-274-2405. Or if you know someone that might be interested in putting their will together or their power, I also do the power of attorney for health and the power of attorney for finances. And a lot of people don't realize that if something happens to you today, and if you don't have anybody's names on your bank account, nobody can go to the bank and pay your bills. Nobody can write your checks, So you have to have somebody authorized. You have to authorize somebody to be able to do that. And you need a legal document, but they can take that to the bank, and the bank will be able to, because if you get sick and can't handle in your affairs, but you still got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay your rent, you got to eat, you got to pay your electric bills, stuff like that. Somebody needs to be able to have access to your money. And if you don't have something in place, nobody can get it. And I've seen a lot of things like lapse, because nobody is able to pay those bills for them. So you put put those in place. Then on your health, the medical directive, you decide what you want to happen. If you got sick and cannot, talk for yourself or make decision, you've already put it in writing. It goes to the hospital. It goes to your doctors. They already know, but it's a legal document that you have signed and it's notarized. But I'll be happy to talk with anyone that have any other questions at any time. Feel free to give me a call or email me.
And I want to, and Ms. Purnell, thank you for sharing the video. Here's something great about my show. I tell y'all, it's on LinkedIn, it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, it's on Millionaire Mastermind Institute, it's on the Road to Success. I mean, I've got so many places, and you can go back and watch this again. Now, if you want to look at it on YouTube again, go to YouTube. I got over 300 videos on YouTube. This show is going to be it's on YouTube right now, live. It's live. So you can go back and watch it again. Tell your family about it. Like I tell you, y'all, this show is very valuable. And, you know, I'm always asking for financial support so I can keep the show going. You can give financial support by going to Cash App, $W Murray, or paypal.me/MM Institute. Now, I got a lot of people that send me money through the mail at P.O. Box 47438, District Heights, Maryland, 20753. Now, like I said, I got more people that watch this in replay than live. So this is this show is one of the better shows because of the information, the power of the information she gave. So y'all, Dr. Jackson is here for you. Call and find out. What's it going to cost you to call and find out? Nothing but dialing the number. That's all it's going to cost you. Jesse?
And let me say this. I don't do this.
Closing.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I do this because I'm passionate about it. I love what I do. I love making a difference in people's lives. I love what God has me doing at this point, this season in my life. And as I said, I am an educator also, so I do teach. And I run a business, run a couple of businesses, and very active in my church. But I do this as a passion. So if you just want information, feel free to call me. There is no cost to call me at all. And believe me, I will give you all the information that you ask at no cost. So feel free to contact me. Again, my number is 240-274-2405. And my email address is lejack4560@msn.com. It's been a pleasure, William. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed very, very much. Like I say, I just love giving out information. So I've enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for your questions. Thank you for your participation. And I look forward to helping anyone that wants my attention.
Now, Jesse, because my show is national, anybody from anywhere in the country can call you?
Yes, I am all over the country.
All right. I just want those, because like I said, this show is national. And people in other parts of the country, you know, and I can let them know it's okay, call her.
Yeah, call me. Yes. My number works wherever they're calling from. No problems.
Dr. Jackson, I want to thank you for coming on board, giving us all this vital information, important information. You know you're blessed now. You know that's the blessing that you have, that you know you blessed, and you give that.
God blesses me.
You give that blessing out. You found your purpose.
Yes, God blesses me to bless others.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. I appreciate it.
God bless you.
All right. Okay, family, y'all heard that, right? Now, Dr. Jackson's available for you. She's available. All you got to do is call. Let me tell y'all about my excitement. I told y'all I got my book today. I told you today my book came in. See that? From the mind of William, the thought and action process to success. This book, From the Mind of William, are affirmations written by Professor Murray. You will learn the positive side of life and how to live it. It will teach you, guide you, and give you a broader way to live and enjoy everything that happens in life. Not to you, but that it happens for you. You will learn how to be successful in business and in life. After reading this book, you will not be the same person that started reading it. Y'all, it took me over a year to write this. Over a year. And y'all know I teach a lot because I do it right here from week to week. You know, I have 2 shows a week. So you got to tell people about the Millionaire Mastermind Institute, about the show, The Road to Success. Y'all, you don't never know who you are giving a blessing to. Now, to order the book, to order my book, let me do this. To order my let me pull up and let y'all see this. To order my book. Wait a minute, let me do this. Oh, see, I'm trying. There it is. To order my book, you can go to Cash App, $ W Murray. You can go to PayPal me /MM Institute. You can call 240-619-2019. Or you can send me an email at trts.info1@gmail.com. There are so many ways that you can order the book. Like I say, tomorrow, because I came in today, tomorrow, you got to see how many books I got to send out already, y'all. People were interested and they're buying the book. They're buying the book. And I've had someone read it already because they read the transcript, because I had to edit it, and then I had someone to read the transcript, and they were highly impressed. I'm not saying it because I wrote it, but you can bet it's spiritual, and I know I'm blessed, and I know this book is going to bless you because the information that's in it is affirmations, and I break down the affirmations in the book. Let me see if I turn to a page. If I turn to a page, y'all, I don't know what's on what page. Let me see what I got on this page. It says, affirmation, I got my first blessing of the day. I woke up. Second blessing is to be a blessing to whoever enters my life space. Y'all heard me tell y'all that all the time. And then I broke it down. It says, every day upon waking up is a blessing granted me. Upon my wake up, my blessing is to be someone. Upon my wake up, my blessing is to be someone worth meeting or sharing my life space with, regardless of the passing moment of time. The greatest thing you can be is a blessing to someone or their purpose. A smile, a hug, a hello, a compliment, it all is a blessing. To be a positive entity in life itself and pass it on. The best thing you could ever be is a blessing. And what I tell you too in my book, that every morning when you wake up, don't flip through, just put your finger on the book, open the page, and that's your affirmation for today. Here's another one I have in here. I've got over 100 affirmations in my book. Never underestimate the importance of your relevance. You are necessary to the universe. Your existence is someone or something's importance, because without you, a lot wouldn't happen. Look at what you do for others, regardless of how small it seems to you. It could be the best thing for them. Reward yourself of your relevance. Smile. Just think, without you, your children will not have no existence. Without you, your friends will not have that particular experience. Without you, the world will not have so much. You decide. Thank you for you. Now, see, that's what my book is like. It's 110 pages. And each page is an affirmation with the exponential breakdown of how I see it. But that doesn't mean that's how you're going to see it. That doesn't mean that. Because we can see the same movie, see the same thing that happened, and see something different. So that's why I always ask you to be a blessing to me. Tell people about the Millionaire Mastermind Institute. Tell people about the Road to Success, the show. And if you want to be a guest on my show, contact me, 240-619-2019. Or email me at trts.info1@gmail.com. Be a blessing, y'all. Order my book. It's just $25 for the book. It's just $25. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And like I always tell you, if you push me, I'll pull you. If you pull me, I'll push you. It doesn't matter whether I'm pushing or pulling. We're going to get there together, y'all. I'm guaranteeing you, I'm going to make you a winner. Y'all know I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. So until next time, everyone, God bless. And keep working on your road to success. Until next time, everyone, God bless.